Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Trending Tuesday. You might be wondering about where I'm filming. This is my backyard. You can see my chicken coop back there. You might even see some chickens wandering around. I certainly can see them in front of me. Let me tell you what we're talking about today. So the first thing we're talking about is what it really means to age well. My friend Ken Dychtwald posted something on LinkedIn that really caught my attention, and I think that aging well is an important topic, but I also think maybe we're putting too much pressure on seniors, older people, to age well in the right way, defined by somebody else, and that's not good. We're also talking about a LinkedIn poll I did about what people do with their conference notes when they go home, and whether they actually do anything with them or not. I also talk about the LinkedIn algorithm. Recently got a call from a friend of mine who was complaining that they were putting out great stuff and LinkedIn didn't seem to appreciate it. And the truth is, the algorithm is your friend. You'll have to check out that segment. On with the show. A few weeks ago, I was at a conference and I was sort of overlooking somebody who was taking notes furiously during the conference. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have done this, but I couldn't help it. And they had like 13 bullet points in this one conference. And I knew that they were going to be in other sessions. It wasn't somebody I knew, so I couldn't really talk to them about that. But I thought this person's probably going to go to 10 sessions and have 13 or 20 points on that. I wonder what they do with them. And I'm going to confess, I make a lot of notes. Sometimes I record sessions. I have a lot of stuff that I've never written about that I intended to write about. So I decided to run a poll on LinkedIn. As you probably know, I love doing polls. And I just asked people, what do they do with their notes after they get done at a conference? And so here's what people told me. 32% of them said they actually take these polls and turn them into action, which is really cool. 35% were telling the truth and said they were filed and forgotten. Some feed them into AI, which is a great place to put them. And then others had some additional comments that they put in below. I'm going to just shut up and let you read them here for a second. And a few more. So I think that conferences are a great way to go. And the truth of the matter is, even if we don't do any initial action, the interaction, it just spawns new ways of thinking about things. And so there really is value here, but I also think it's possible, and AI is probably the best way to do this, is to actually turn them into things that really change your organization. Okay, let's next move on to our current events section. Let's take a look at a couple of things that I came across on LinkedIn this week that really fascinated me. The first one is a quote from Adam Grant. And in this quote, he talks about how you've got to, as a leader, you have to deal with people individually the way they are and where they are, particularly in this case, their career path. So it turns out that if you've got somebody who is new to the job, somebody who's younger typically, who's just starting out, the thing they need more than anything else is affirmation. They need you to, as a leader, tell them when they're doing things right, when they're doing things good. That doesn't mean if there's something terrible, you've got to fix that, but they need a steady stream of really positive stuff coming to them. And when you do that, they will shine in unbelievable ways. And I know it's really hard because when you have somebody new, a lot of times they're just messing things up and it's so easy. You just want to kind of pound them. You can't do that. Now, if you're dealing with somebody who's experienced, who's been in the company a long time, senior management, they have a lot more strength and they will get the most value when you go to them and say, hey, this is not good enough. We've got to work about. You've got to be kind. You've got to be precise. You've got to take care of people. But being willing to tackle those things, and the art of great leadership is figuring out the right time to do the right technique. And here's the other thing that I came across that I found just fascinating. My friend Ken Dychtwald, founder and CEO at AgeWave, put up a post where he talked about how aging is needing to be completely redefined. And he referenced an article that was written by Jack Myers, and he talks about how Mick Jagger is still commanding stadiums in his 80s, and Bob Dylan, and we see these older people who are doing amazing things. I remember a few years going to see Paul McCartney, and he was on stage and he played for 2 hours, and it was really, really remarkable. And I love this, but he also makes the point that it's really, really hard. The thing that I personally worry about when I see these stories is that we are sending a message that says, hey, now that you're older, you've got to go reinvent yourself. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. Because in truth, I have started playing golf with a bunch of guys who were in their 70s and some of them in their 80s, and they're retired. And the truth of the matter is they're sort of doing the same old thing every day, and they're happy. And so the big message here is that we've got to be so careful about trying to tell other people how to live their lives. We need to be empowering with people to say, what is it, what experiences are going to make your life the best life for you, not for Mick Jagger, not for somebody else, not for Steve Moran. I want to now go to what's happening in tech. A week or so ago, a good friend of mine called to talk about their LinkedIn profile and how they'd been creating this great content in their own mind, and that nobody was seeing it. The impressions were really low, the engagement was low, and was really frustrated with the algorithm. And as we talked about it, I realized that she was actually looking at the algorithms all wrong. The algorithms are actually your best friend, because you have to think about why the algorithms exist. Particularly, we were talking about LinkedIn. LinkedIn's goal is to keep people on the platform and engaged for as long as they can. And the way they do that is by taking a look at what people are already watching, what they're spending time on, and feeding them more of that. And as a user, that's what you want too, because that suggests it's the stuff that's valuable to you. And so when you put something on LinkedIn or really any social platform and it underperforms, you don't like the numbers, you don't like the engagement, that's actually really good news. It's great information for you, because it tells you it's what people are not interested in. And you may decide you don't care about that, and that's okay too. But if you care about delivering what people are interested in, it means you actually got to go back and look at it at what you're doing and say, okay, how do I make this particular topic more interesting? Or do I go tackle a different topic because that will be more interesting? I'd start by saying, what is the stuff that's interesting to you? But if you do the same thing over and over and over again, that gets bored. And of course, the other thing is that if you really hit it big, you get lots of engagement. It's worthwhile sitting back and saying, what did I do? How am I able to do more of that? So at Foresight, one of the things that we spend some time looking at is we want to look at the stuff that's way, way up here that's overperforming. And we also want to look at the stuff that's down in the basement that we go, that just is a fail. And we use both of those to learn to get better. It's really, really hard, and you got to keep putting out content, and that's the big thing. And you got to spend time looking at it and thinking about it and learning from what you do and from what others do. Hey guys, I just finished interviewing David Williams at St. Monica Trust and for Foresight TV, and I just got one more question for him that I want to share with you here on Trending Tuesdays. So, David, um, you hate the term resident engagement. Why is that, and what do you use instead?
Okay, why do I hate it? I've talked to older people, and I'm not the only one that hates it. Older people hate it as well in the UK, the ones I've spoken to. I think engagement is very passive, and asking people to sort of be acquiesce to what we want to engage with them on. So we prefer, and I certainly prefer, the term contribution, which I think is positive, and actually is talking about positive action. And that's the reason why I wouldn't use the term engagement within St. Monica's.
Terrific. I love that because I think that so much of what senior living is about passive things, and that sort of suggests people aren't living anymore. And so contribution is such a better thing. David, anyway, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a great conversation, and I can hardly wait to come visit.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and you are more than welcome. I'd love to host you.
Well, that's it for this week's Trending Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll like it and share it. Thank you so much for making the lives of people who live and work in senior living better.